for the recap.
Shit popped off.
Did Peter quit?
I gave up.
I'm out, man. I'm out.
I
gave up.
this shit, I'm out.
I can't take this. It's
Deal
like
with
that
it,
SpongeBob meme. All right, I'm out.
I'm out. Peace out, people.
Deuces. See ya.
But yeah, what did happen?
Nothing really. I mean, it was kind of a dull game last one.
So we were disguised as a Vermeerge thanks to Brachius's seeing spell. And we started off in like this sewer type place, and the Vermeerge were starting to come down. And so I remember Scuttlebutt tried to throw something to make the sound of like a lion to distract them. They got scared and ran to get a big weapon. I think Brachius let off a fireball at some point.
Yes.
During all that. But eventually we went up. We found the Vermeerge minions that we were speaking to pretty much very dumb. At one point, Lord Gloombright popped off, and literally his head popped open, releasing all kind of pickled goblin fingers. The minions of Asmodeus are all over fighting the Vermeerge, trying to get the woo. We finally got to the central terminal where we could upload the riddle, which took us quite some time because nobody's proficient with typing.
Are you doing the poke typing where you're just pecking at each of the keys slowly because you're
I
not
have
a
to.
typist?
I have to find each letter. I have no idea what layout this keyboard is in. If it's in QWERTY, I don't even have a way to guess. So yeah, it's one letter at a time. I'm typing with one hand, one finger.
Okay. How long does it take?
I would say probably about 10 minutes.
Oh my.
If there's a qualified typist in our party, if someone has proficiency in typing.
And so it was like 20 minutes to type in the riddle. When it finally typed in, it seemed to have very little effect.
No effect whatsoever.
Yeah. And it was just a weird conversation with the computer, with it trying to rationalize with us and us being like, no, that's dumb. And everybody just became entrenched, and then it just was like, all right, I'm going to go defrag now.
You have taught me well, Brachius. You have taught me well, Brachius. I see the flaw in my plan. I see the flaw in my plan. I will now defrag. I will now defrag. System shutdown. System shutdown. And at that, you can see that this creature with its claws just kind of shakes it up at the sky in disgust.
Well, Brachius thought of a second riddle to try to confuse it. So went back into the room that's filled with nothing but radiation and a keyboard, and tried to input a second riddle. So that took a second 10 minutes. Then we continued the conversation with C.A.D, the creator and or servant, depending on which party member you ask, of the Vermeerge. And then he shut down. But as we were leaving, actually, I'm unsure, Brachius is unsure whether or not C.A.D shutting down was the point. So did we win? I don't know. But as we were leaving, an actual Vermeerge appeared and was bearing down on us.
Mm-hmm. We also attempted several other ways just to break his logic, just by, arguing with his ideology.
Oh yeah, because it was like, well, we're working towards perfection. Well, whose idea of perfection?
Right.
A perfect idea of perfection.
But we were also trying to argue the point that you can't have perfection without problems. If the one doesn't exist, the other doesn't exist, kind of deal.
I wanted to argue the dangers of evolutionary dead ends, but I couldn't because my character doesn't know anything about evolution.
And I should have, Scuttlebutt
Grenades
should have been
and
like, well,
firearms.
what's that?
They said no. She only knows grenades and firearms.
Yep, that's all I read.
So as 13 and Tobias ducked to the side to ward off the demons, 13 and Tobias ran through a hallway of tiles that were magically placing themselves in front of them, and they entered into a tunnel and followed towards the group, or where the direction that the group headed, until they came upon a room with a well. The demons, you could hear the demons clawing the walls, as well as banging against the door that they shut behind. There was like a fountain in the middle, and the fountain actually started overflowing, and the room started flooding. And about that time, C.A.D and Tobias, or rather C.A.D and 13, were communicating with each other about much the same subject matter. So there was a ladder about 10 feet up. 13 was able to jump up and get it with a solid cheerleader pose, a cheerleader move. As he reached down for Tobias, Tobias was unable to move due to a demon that was holding on to him. So in an effort to help, 13 leveraged the Wand of Orcus to summon a demon, a hulking, brawny demon, to just destroy that one, and that also threw Tobias up. And they are climbing in the shafts above until they ran into a grate where they heard a voice saying,
You've taught me well, 13. You've taught me well, 13. Begin, defrag. Begin, defrag. Commence, shutdown. Commence, shutdown.
And looking down, I can see the group as well as the Vermeerge.
There was one other thing. We heard the voice of Valanus the Torturer.
I knew Corporate and the Molask were in league. Out to get me, deceive me all this time. Find me the Wand of Orcus, and bring me the one who worships the Molask. I will take great pleasure in punishing her if my name isn't Valanus the Torturer.
Who had sent all the demons to come and get the Wand of Orcus, and who also announced that the Molask had teamed up with the corporate forces of hell, and that he was now opposed to both of them.
It was a hostile takeover. What do you expect these things happen?
So yeah, Fichet's been on a little adventure himself. He was after he because I left around the mountains. I took the llamas with me, and I ended up finding a desert and getting approached by a 1978 Ford Ranger, which was driven by Bobby Harris. I then got transported back to 1997 Earth, where I get told by Professor Magneto that all of you guys have gone to the Sky Chariot, the Vermeerge Sky Chariot, to take on the Vermeerge. But there was a problem. There was a Villainous, the Torturer. He showed up, and he was looking for the Wand of Orcus. I end up on the ship, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Professor Magneto and the llama and myself on a small craft to the Sky Chariot. Oh yeah, and then I arrive. I'm outside the wall. Is Hesh here?
He got distracted.
Yeah, he's somewhere back there. And I hear Bobby Harris saying, "You're going to have to break through. The Vermeerge waits on the other side." So there's me and a flaming llama